Welcome to the Divorce Angel podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Summerton. Attention business owners, senior managers and executives. Your successful separation begins right now. We have the answers to the questions you did not even think to ask. Let's face it, you're already successful in your career and we're here to help expand your knowledge and limit your costs by designing a strategy for your divorce. We take all that business knowledge you've acquired and we put it to work. With proven strategies, systems and processes, we've saved our clients tens of thousands in legal fees and helped define their future. And now we're doing the unthinkable. We're revealing the secrets the lawyers have tried to hide and giving you our formula for 5 steps to a seamless divorce. We're changing the world one divorce at a time, so stay tuned. Hey there, and welcome back to this week's podcast. I'm really excited about what I'm going to share with you today. It's come about from doing a divorce roadmap with a client. And, last week I spoke about the fact that we would see the best and the worst of people at this time, given what we are going through as a society, not only here in Australia, but all over the world. Like, times are tough. But this week I wanted to talk about a couple who have thought differently. They've thought about their child and they've put him first. Now, let's call her Jill and let's call him Robert. Now, Jill and Robert have been together or married for 10 years and they've got a 7-year-old son. They separated 4 months ago and he moved out and he was renting in another property. But together, they are really good parents and they really care about their son. And they've been sharing him 50-50 and going about their day-to-day lives. So she goes off to work and does what she needs to do. And, during the week, picks him up from after school care, looks after him like every good mother should do. And the husband, so Robert, would then be doing what he needed to do. They had joint goals and aspirations for how they wanted to bring their son up. Anyway, when all of this has occurred with the coronavirus, they've both been petrified. And divorce is hard enough. Like, we know that. Like, divorce is scary. We're fearful. We're worried about what the future looks like. But for these guys, the greater fear was what happens if the government puts us into lockdown. What's going to happen? So over the last few weeks, there's been some conflicting messages around parenting orders and what does that mean if we go into lockdown. And the court has actually come out and said that if you do have a parenting agreement, you should probably abide by it unless someone is actually infected, meaning the child, and they have to be isolated. Or if your partner is ill and therefore the child has to stay with you just to make sure that they don't get sick. Because let's be honest, we've got to put their needs above everything else. Anyway, so these guys have thought, what happens if we lose our job? What happens if we go into lockdown? So they sat there and tried to mitigate those risks and how they would plan for the future. What they decided to do was to move back in together into their family home. So Robert got out of his lease in his rental property and they would move back in together into their family home. Now then, from there, they did what are known as rules of engagement. They worked out a plan as to how they would live in the house together, yet stay separated. So they would still remain in their own rooms, they would do their own things, and they would still look after their son 50-50. He converted the garage into a man shed. She would have the lounge room. They both had their own bedrooms and they would share the kitchen and they would go about their normal day-to-day activities with their son. So they've been doing this now for just over 2 weeks. And I said to her, how are you guys going? How are you coping with this? And she said, well, whilst it's been a little bit difficult, we have certainly put our needs aside and we're really happy with what we've done because it does look like that this isn't going away in the short term. This isn't going to be finished in 2 or 3 weeks. This could possibly be 6 months. So they're proceeding with their divorce and they're getting all their paperwork together, yet they are also living under the same roof with their son and doing what needs to be done to just continue to survive. So if either one of them loses their job, they know that the other one in the short term will be able to help them out. And they also know that their son will be looked after and loved. And I said to her, well, how's your son coping with this? And her reply was that he simply loves it. He's got both of his parents under the same roof. He gets to go back and forth if he wants to. But just like they were doing with their 50-50 arrangement, if the father has the son on a Tuesday, he would organise activities within the house that he would do with the son. So whether that be a jigsaw puzzle, whether that be something that they're doing out in the garage, that was his responsibility to look after the son during that time. Then what would happen is when it was Jill's turn, the same thing would occur. It was her responsibility to find something to keep him amused or to teach him, or whether it's homeschooling, that was her job to continue to do that on those days that were hers. So as you can see, this couple have really thought differently, and whilst she said it hasn't been easy, they've still been able to work together because they've had a bigger picture. Now, I don't know what COVID-19 has done to you or your family relationship. I don't know if you're in a similar situation, but I just wanted to share this quick story with you so you could see what other couples out there are currently doing to just get through this really rough time together. Because let's be honest, there's a bigger picture here, and these guys have certainly looked at it and they've weighed up the pros and cons, and they've been able to work together for hopefully what's right for their son. So this has only been a really quick podcast today. Hopefully you may have taken just a little bit out of it to help you deal with what you guys are going through right now in your personal situation. Okay, that's it for me. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to the Divorce Angel podcast. Go behind the scenes of my business to learn the secrets no one else will share. Deep dive into the Divorce Angel process and listen to our most popular episodes over at tanyasummerton.com. If you love this episode of the podcast, do me a favour and head over to iTunes and subscribe and leave a review so we can reach more people and change more lives. That's all for now, and I'll catch up with you next week.